Welcome to this tale. A tale that is as old as the universe itself, or perhaps older, for who is to say? We bear witness to the grand cataclysm, an event rending our very reality asunder, casting the forbidden moon into shades of scarlet and crimson, a constant reminder of what we remaining few have since lost. We huddle together in the Tower of Knowledge, with seldom an action to subsist by. Yet it appears hope is not yet lost, for the Great One has blessed us with tainted knowledge and power, contaminating our own bloodline with secrets from beyond the cosmic veil. These strange sorceries are bound to rings, family signets from generations that might not have ever existed. The Supreme is then able to task us with a quest, beginning in the Lone Lands. Braving this lost frontier, the outer being's influence is clear. Hostile creatures that boggle the mind lying in wait, aggressively seeking sustenance in a relentless lust to satiate. After few have fallen, courage begins to well, with the idea of there is a chance to succeed, becoming gluttonous within my mind. As I continue through these lost lands, I am able to find resources scattered and hidden in a hurry of survivors long since departed. And strangely enough, there is even a duo of traveling merchants. Perhaps they are blessed, or otherwise cursed, to continue offering their wares to lost souls such as myself. Once I leave the small comforts of the now deserted town, the time comes to proceed into the Cave of Lost Souls. The cave is littered with strange gems, with the potential to show far-off places, terrific beings, or perhaps even visions of the future or past. Tearing through the countlessly old gems and the freshly spun webs, slaying ever more monsters, forcing my way ever deeper. Yet my wounds nearly force me to succumb. However, some stranger has offered me a bargain to heal me in exchange for my family name. This, unfortunately, renders my sight blurry and colorless. As I continue, I come across the unholy abomination lying at the bottom. This aberration, known amongst the survivors as the Bloodworm, must be fought above a sea of scalding blood amongst the remains of ever larger beasts. This abhorrent abomination, whilst intimidating, shows weakness in the pustules lining its disgusting flesh. Once the beast is slain, the cave's exit can be used, taking me to the beguiling and bewitching woods festering with the inherently inferior nature of women, the forest of lies. This corrupted, effeminate grove begets altars that endlessly spawn weak terrors, whilst pools of festering toxins corrode any who have the misfortune of being splashed by them. Upon reaching the bridge at the end, and briefly communing with the third gate itself, I must launch myself into the womb in order to face the problem on the ancient moon. Arriving out of the Nexus, the very structure sends a vision of beings I can't comprehend, perhaps to stall or dishearten my endeavors. Yet the end of my quest is near. Traversing the ancient ruins of the moon, I draw ever closer to my goal. Finally, after a minor labyrinth and many monsters, I come upon my target, a rogue cultist channeling the powers of one of the outer entities, becoming the child of Shub-Niggurath. This avatar of the outer entity desires to consume whatever it can, and I alone may yet detain it. The battle is arduous and grueling, with the dastard invoking rifts in reality to foster minions. Yet, through sheer perseverance and attrition, the dastard was finally slain. At this point, Shub-Niggurath, angered at my Pyrrhic victory, channeled the full force of his rage against my feeble, brittle mind, and soon after, my life was lost. I hope that my legacy, at least, becomes known to my fellow survivors and any potential offspring I may have sired. Once the knowledge of my forebearer arrived thanks to the verdant blast from that contaminated moon, I realized it was my turn to venture forth. There is a great evil lurking in the bowels of this very tower, and I have been selected to excise the rot from within. My predecessor was gracious enough to have bequeathed me condensed monster blood, as well as the ephemeral Evenstar to aid my journey. This, coupled with my penchant for arson, led me to feel more than prepared for my journey. As I make my way down the elevator, I briefly command the gatekeeper to let me through, which he does begrudgingly. The dungeon below the keep reeks with the stench of decay and rot, and I shudder to think of what lies in those jars, as simply being near them induces venomous symptoms. Making my way ever deeper, I find a tenuous connection to the sunken city of Relay, an entire city somehow located below the lowest point of our refuge, filled with dozens more unmentionably despicable terrors. This breach is overflowing with forgotten relics and secrets, with many labyrinthine corners and hideaways. The source of corruption in this breach is the treacherous Zaltharin, a behemoth monstrosity who seems to be even larger than that accursed worm. Defeating this behemoth transport me, through some bizarre machination, to the plateau of Lang, a frigid wasteland. Arriving here, it became clear that my firepower is more important than ever, as the frigid winds and biting cold can only be partially abated through my pyro tendencies. I was forced to renounce my name to fend off the chill, and now a leech continues to hound me in my quest, especially in preparation for the fight against the haunting Wendigo. Krampus blocks the path for future classes of my descendants. Of course I had to slay this evil demon, despite his strange, less than abominable appearance. The leech was quite a hindrance. At the edge of this tundra, there is another portal that whisks me off to the furthest reaches of the galaxy, the planet of Yith. This hostile world is inhabited by the target of my quest, the quarry that I must slay, Nyarlathotep. This hostile spawn of Azathoth is menacing. His cries not only pierce my ears, it somehow reverberates deep within my mind, and perhaps even my own soul. My eldritch flames can manage to burn this outer entity, and after a grueling slog, Nyarlathotep falls. As I lie there, contemplating whether this will save my brethren, the deity's death spasms create a rift, sucking me, now nameless, into the void, the great expanse. It's, strangely, somehow, beautiful. The final task falls to me. With two aspects of the outer gods drowned in the sea of human potential, I must now return. My quest is to clear the lone lands once more, to make my way to the moon, to seek out the true source of madness. This is the most important quest, according to the Supreme One's prophecies, as my quest, should I fail, will cause all of reality to cease. The god we worship must not be allowed to wake, no matter the cost. The loam lands have since become harsher since my forebears' time, the eldritch energy permeating the land and sky, signs showing that our deity may wake at any moment. Time is of the essence. I must make haste. The loam lands are now more treacherous, the cave of lost souls filled with more and more webs, and somehow the accursed worm has been revived. Perhaps it can never truly die. The effeminate forest of lies is somehow more toxic. Time is running short. I leap into the womb, and instead of heading towards where the child was fought, I turn around, hearing the sounds of a raucous, cacophonous feast, mirth and giddy being nigh tangible, yet sinister. A friend of mine fell with a great many riches. Funny how in the face of doom, money loses all of its value. Yet now I must persist on this path. There is no retreat possible. For now I have dared to step foot onto the living planet, Azathoth. This god, the object of my worship, must not awaken. I must push through the fleshy walls, entering closer to the source of all the disturbances to preserve the deity's slumber. Upon reaching the core of this living planet, I can see the problem. Another outer entity is attempting to encroach on the mighty Azathoth, and it is only a matter of time before he awakens, erasing myself and all of my known reality from every plane of existence. This strange center of moving walls of flesh, encroaching tentacles, eldritch blasts, and blood cleaners make staying put difficult. But somehow, I am able to prevent the awakening, and the greatest glory of my life will be to merge with the mighty Azathoth, becoming a pillar for all of my previous existence and everyone within it. I have truly ascended! Yet the survivors must continue good deeds, dashing throughout the lands by activating their corrupted blood, purchasing wares that give meaning to the existence of the accursed vendors, finding lost relics in strong boxes hastily hidden throughout the land, experiencing the toxic femininity of the forest or the forgotten chemicals in the dungeon, and, of course, slaying the monsters. There are 2 thresholds of monster slaying to contend with, and then the survivors must still use the condensed blood and ethereal Evenstar to maximize their potential. The madness, indeed, continues. And perhaps this is the true source of madness. So, what'd you guys think? For this game, I thought I'd try something a little different. The platinum was a pain due to the grind. The difficulty options are kinda terrible. The sound design is one of the best and worst things about this game. The environments and monsters are haunting. But there are also some questionable choices here. Difficulty as a whole sucks, both being too easy and too hard, with higher difficulties making enemies have effects like AoE damage and proximity, or adding in extra effects like poisoning you if you stopped moving, or randomly sapping your health. The monsters are kinda annoying as they have a fear factor, but it's not always clear what will damage you and what won't. And sometimes the horrors are so hard to process that even the PS4 has trouble running the game. The sound design is great, but also has these weird stings that play at like quadruple volume, so there's points where it feels like your ears are gonna bleed. And while the main game can be done in less than 15 hours, the grind adds in a stupid amount. But it also sucks because if a certain threshold of enemies die, then the game will crash, which resets your currency, but sometimes keeps the kills for the tally. A total of 10,000 kills are needed, and the level tree requires a stupid amount of points in Evenstar. Evenstar being the currency that only drops from bosses, and because it has to be absorbed, sometimes you'll get some from the end route bosses, other times you won't get any, depending on your positioning at the end of the fight. Some of the ring combinations felt like playing Neo Tui. Cryomancer can help move faster due to the glide from their dash, but the Pyromancer is the best class overall, with Great Fireball doing the most damage and the dash doing DOT. The Platinum is like a 4.3 out of 10 due to the grind and the annoyance of the game crashing if you slay too much, while the patented Dan the Ranking Man rating puts it at a 68 overall. There are a myriad of issues. Random crap that does nothing, and forced restarts for each of the 3 routes. It's also not stable. Like, somehow I broke the game and got stuck in an infinite piss void. Also, apparently the game has generative AI in it to make some monsters and do some of the effects, like during the vision sequences. So, do with that what you will. But, the game has its moments. I just don't see myself actually buying it. So, like and subscribe, comment down below which Elder Entity is your favorite. Mine is clearly... And remember, only losers would disagree with HP Lovecraft on his political views.